sorry, apologies for this. Learning and development, you see, is constantly evolving. It can be very challenging to determine which trends then are ideal. In a world where we all know that scoring on foundational subjects will not be enough at all to be competitive, to have those real experiences in the world. And so, with aspects like entrepreneurial, social, civic competencies becoming as important, along with technical skills, with the introduction of collaborative problem solving skills, critical thinking skills, all these will be in demand in the coming decades. So education is transforming, and hence a deep reflection is required. What is required is to provide a lot of flexibility in transacting knowledge. Improvement of various mechanisms is required to assess and analyze the learning graph of the students. And there is a lot of talk around this, and we've been deliberating around this. And hence, one of the most visible approaches to education we see is then peer-to-peer learning, which is surfacing a lot in these in these current times. Now, today's episode talks about peer learning, an approach towards enhanced learning experiences. And this is one of the key and pertinent discussions which are happening in the corridors across the education industry. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. I'm delighted to welcome our audience, our panelists, to yet another episode of Futuristic Education, a web series which is dedicated to the 21st century education. An EduDays initiative in collaboration with Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham University, which is a university which is #1 in STEM education. We here bring on the platform and invite edu leaders from various cities to deliberate, discuss, and enlighten the community about their understanding, their experiences, and share insights into the pertinent issues, like today's issue, which is on peer learning, and an important approach to, enhanced learning. Now, today, I have a panel with me, which is an extremely illustrious panel with some of seasoned and veteran academicians who have spent a lifetime in the industry and understand the nuances of peer learning, formal learning, progressive learning. So without much ado, let me introduce you today to our panelists. Today we have with us Mr. Sudhir Katumala, career counselor from Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham University, Amritapuri campus. Welcome, Sudhir, to yet another episode. And let me take this opportunity to thank you about your feedback that you have shared on LinkedIn about your experience with the students. I'm sure you're going to have even better experience with today's young panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me welcome Miss Shalini Agarwal, Principal, Dwarka International School, Delhi. She is a close associate, a friend, and a veteran in the field of education. Welcome you, Ms. Shalini Agarwal.
Thank you so much, Devyani. Thank you. It's such a pleasure and joy to be here with you, finally.
We welcome you. And we have with us Dr. Sagrika Roy Bhatia, an education thought leader working towards developing an alternate education learning environment for sports enthusiasts at Mohali, Punjab. She is also involved with developmental projects with UNESCO. We welcome you, Sagrika Roy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here with you on this platform.
Great.
And
We
pleasure
shall
to be
be
the co-panelist
interacting. I'm sure we shall be interacting about what you do and understand your, the way your academy functions in the course of our discussion. Welcome, Sagrika.
Thank you so much.
Let me now welcome my most favorite panelists. Yes, the students, the youth of today. We have with us Reet Rathore, class 11th student from Dwarka International School, Delhi. Welcome, Reet. And we have Pulkit Sikri, again a class 11th student from Dwarka International School, Delhi. Welcome, Reet and Pulkit. We are excited to have your insights and understanding on this particular topic, which is something directly you people experience day in and day out. Welcome you both.
Thank you, ma'am. We are also very excited to attend this webinar.
Great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. Now, without much ado, let me start with the ice-breaking question with all our three panelists. It will be, the answers will flow in the order of introduction. That is, first, Mr. Sudhir Katumala, then Ms. Shalini Agarwal, followed by Ms. Sagrika Roy. And your time, restrict your time to 2 minutes, as there is a lot in store for you to deliberate upon. You see, in 1916, in a book, John Dewey wrote, the book was called Democracy and Education. He wrote, education is not an affair of just telling and being told, but it is an active and constructive process where knowledge is created through experiences rather than passed down from teacher to student through rote memorization. Which definitely means when we're talking about experience, we talk about interactions, collaborations at each and every step. My question to you is, when we talk about experiences, the best experience a student has is with his peers in the environment, whether it is in the school or probably outside the red brick wall. Now, whom do you consider, who is a peer? And what exactly do you think is peer learning? Yes, Sudhir.
Yes, ma'am. So that's a very good question to start the discussion for today. So actually, I can say a peer can be my fellow student, my friend, or a classmate, or he might be a junior or a senior. Sometimes in workplace or also peer learning can come into, he might be my colleague. So whoever is not an authoritative figure in terms of teaching and monitoring or mentoring will come into pace and all. So to just tell about this kind of education methodology, mostly peer learning helps students solidify their knowledge by teaching each other. Why? Because if one student is tutoring others, it will automatically means that the student who is tutoring the other person is having a better and full understanding of the concept that they are tutoring. Okay, so and one important aspect of this is it should happen in a more supervised environment, and it will help develop more better learning, more retention. It can also be peer learning can also involve in group activity, like students work involving together in group, working together to solve a problem or come task to create a product and all. Today peer learning is in more collaborative way. It is very much essential thing for this 21st century. Why? Because for to give an example, a student learn effectively when he's clearing his doubts from a peer than from a teacher, because he doesn't have the fear of making himself wrong, or he might not have in the mindset that he is asking a trivial question, because he's his friend, he's his peer, he can ask him anything, any question, any doubt, he can stop him also at any point of time. This technique, actually what it does to the state of mind of a student is it gives them some confidence, actually, and gives them or motivates them to learn more, because the person who is sharing, his peer, so he is giving him or guiding him or giving him solutions to the problem he is facing in an easier way, more simple manner. So this is happening. So it is a more effective way today. Teaching methodology can happen in school or in college or in workplace also. So that's why peer learning is one of the most important learning techniques that is available at teachers' disposal in this 21st century. But there are drawbacks also for this, which we are going to be discussing in the coming questions and all. But I say it helps the student, I mean, result in better learning and better retention through this kind of learning methodology. So that will be my answer.
Great, thank you so much. And I think when you spoke about two main things, that how, because that person who is called a peer is not in the position of an authority. And
Yes.
second you spoke about was it has to be guided. So let's hear our other panelists, what they have to say and how they can probably elaborate upon the authority and the guided path. So Shalini, you've been in this profession for so long, and you've seen, probably batches and batches of students. So what is your take upon who's a peer and how is effective is this peer learning? Yeah.
So as Sudhir very rightly said, peer is somebody who's who's our equal. In fact, it derives, this word comes from the Latin word par, which is equal. So somebody who's not in an authoritative position, somebody who's just our equal. And peer learning by itself is not only learning from your colleague, learning with your colleague. So it's not as if that one person is learning and one person is teaching. To my mind, peer learning is very effectively both are learning. And in fact, this is one of very prime examples of learning by doing, which is the best possible way of learning. Because the one who's teaching, you cannot teach if you do not know yourself. And when you teach, there are so many things, so many concepts which automatically become clear in your own mind. So peer learning can happen, and it keeps happening around us. We have now, of course, put a tag to it. This is peer learning. But if you look at Model United Nations, which is a completely student-led, activity. And it was very close to your heart also, Devyani. Yeah. So that's completely peer learning, because it's the students who are teaching the other student body that how to conduct a session, how to conduct yourself. There are so many clubs that the school has. That also is an example of peer learning. Besides, of course, the academics, because whenever you have, no matter how much we try and have an interactive classroom, the fact of the matter remains that the teacher remains in a position of authority. And there will come a time when a student might hesitate, should I ask this doubt? Is it too silly? We can encourage them to a large extent, but still somewhere down that line, that tiny bit of hesitation is there. And with peer learning, it just goes away, because he's just your friend. He's like you. So you can ask your doubt, you can understand your doubt, you can get clarity, and it doesn't really matter. And moreover, peer learning, it comes right down to the level of the student, because at the end, it's a student teaching.
Excellent.
So that is, it is in a very, very effective methodology of teaching, and must be encouraged at all levels, including within the teaching community. It's not just for students, it's for teachers also, because when we learn amongst ourselves, we can, talk to each other, because peer learning involves dialogue and discussion. It's not a one-way communication, which at times the teaching devolves into, lecture methodology. So even the colleagues should do a peer learning, micro teaching, because that is actually the best possible form of learning.
Very well said. I think very well said. And that, once you're not in a position of authority and subordination, the very fact that, peer, when but along with what I feel is that along with the content, there is so much, like you spoke about MUN, and there is so much of other learning, that concepts of, apart from what you're required to do, you learn to, collaborate, you learn the team spirit, you learn, I think, a lot on, critically, it's so much so that empathy, you start empathizing. So it is what John Dewey talks about, an experience. And it gives the child a complete experience of not just the content, but, the overall. And so let's go now to Sagrika. And since Sagrika, you have a very different kind of a school which you head. So we would like you to, relate to sports as well, that how it creates a balance for your students, peer learning, and whom you would consider a peer. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Devyani. Wonderful to be here once again. So our school being a sports school, but first of all, my concept of peer learning, according to me, just starts from the day the child is just born, because the child uses its senses and learns from its surrounding. After the surrounding, then once the child steps into school, learns from its own peers. So everything, habit formation, all the habits, children get, they say, from the school, you pick up this habit from the school of digging your nose, of, pinching somebody, of irritating somebody. This is all peer learning. It's all learned from their own peers, So it starts right from there, and then it graduates. And then it takes a form, it takes a proper form. And then, as Sudhir says, that after it takes a form, then it is guided and under supervision. And when it is under supervision, it becomes a more formalized way of teaching and learning process. But then peer learning starts from day one. And with respect to sports, yes, of course, as it's everywhere, even in sports, our children really enjoy peer learning, because in sports, it is a skill driven, sports is always skill driven. So you learn good skills when you're with your peers, because ours is football, and football is a team sport. So football being a team sport, it is by default, you pick up good skills from your peers, and you understand, you have that space after that, when you have a technical session, when they have the video technical reviewing session of the match, then they see that this particular child, the way he hit the ball, the angle, and the tactic, and the plan behind it, what was going on in the mind. So there's a lot of peer learning happening in sports, in fact, sports is all about peer learning itself, because when they have the technical sessions, the sharing that they have, that okay, this body, what was there behind your what was the kind of plan you were having had this particular kick, why was it a foul, how could you do it better? So the more the discussions in these sessions, the more the peer learning. So in sports, I think more than classroom, it's a lot in sports because of its nature, because of the nature of it being a team. So by default, it happens by default.
Great, very well said that, there is so much happening on the field, and the best examples of peer learning and sharing and team spirit, collaborating that happens. I will not go to the direct questions till I rope in and very quickly take a bite from our young panelists, Reed and Pulkit. Yes, Reed, how have, like, I would just want to know, what is peer learning? Is it all about, buddy playing or going out, or I've not done my homework, can I just see, or can you help me out with that in terms of give me your notebook? Could you just tell us something about how exactly that peer interaction happens? But just in a minute, because a minute to you and a minute to Pulkit. Yes, Reed.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, as we
Yeah.
all know, ma'am, in this era, ma'am, mostly we interact with our friends and they help us how to do stuff, ma'am. A few days ago, they were my exam session. So in the morning, when I used to enter my class, every single one of my friends used to say, Reed bro, can you help us learn this topic? Can you review? Can you give us a revision, a quick recap on the topic, as they have all means the you understand, ma'am, like
Yeah, I do
they're not
understand.
able to.
Understand a particular concept, and this, the best of the peer learning is seen just before you enter the examination hall. That's what you're talking. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So it is. Yeah. Yeah. Let's hear out from Pulkit. Yes, Pulkit.
Yes, ma'am. So, like, according to my peer education is like very helpful, and it's not just like related to exams and all, because there are a lot of clubs in schools, and I had even been in a few. So, like, clubs are supervised, like there is a teacher, but as far as I observed, most of the work in the clubs is done by students. So, when all the students sit in an environment in a room, they discuss with each other, they share their knowledge, they share their experiences. So, like, we get to know a lot about each other, we get to know a lot about what others know. Like, for example, if I am studying alone, I will just see by my perspective, which might be wrong or might be right. But when I am in a room of quite a lot of people, with my friends and some teachers as well, then I will get to know even about others perspective, and I will learn that from that perspective. So peer learning, according to me, is also like not just based on exams and everything, but also on like sharing knowledge with others and a much more like broader review of it.
Very well said. I think it's beautifully said. Thank you so much, Pulkit. Are you the head boy of the school or the vice head boy?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Are
I
you
think
any
he's
function?
he would have filled the council form, both of them.
Great, great.
We are going to
Yes.
have the council selections now.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So great insights. That's why I just was very tempted to check with. All right. My next direct question would be to Ms. Shalini Agarwal. Shalini, you spoke about that, peer learning. Of course, the question is little different, but I would like to start from where you said that peer learning. You spoke about micro teaching, which is something, right, that peer learning should not be just spoken in terms of per se restricted to students. It has to be everywhere, and teachers, amongst teachers as well. So the question which I wanted to ask was related to it, though, that teachers also undergo this understanding of what is peer learning. So, but effective learning would only happen under trained educators, because the teacher has to understand that and give the child that freedom and that environment where guided peer learning can happen. But whilst this,
Absolutely.
so this approach speaks of leaving the child, from someone as unaware to himself. So would that really assess learning? How do you tackle this in your school? Or what is your, if you could recommend some models specifically to the educators, then how can they understand? Let this word not just become a jargon phrase. It should be actually implemented in the right way. So we would like to hear from you.
That's a point well noting, Nityani, that peer learning, just saying that and leaving the students be. So while it can be very effective, But then to ensure that it is not something which is deviating from the main goal, we have to keep certain things in mind. And one of the first and foremost thing to be kept in mind is that peer learning is and can be only a supplement. It's not a replacement for classroom teaching. So in other words, at no point of time can we think that peer is replacing the teacher. It is a supplement, and once used judiciously, it can work wonders. And because see, peer learning talks all about, it is nothing but collaboration. And there are times where in spite of all our efforts to the contrary, but students at times have this huge competition going on.
Yeah,
So, and competition has to be replaced with collaboration,
very true.
and peer learning fosters that collaboration. Now again, it has to be guided. In other words, the correct students have to be paired. So it's not as if the best friends will suddenly form a close bond and say, okay, we are doing peer learning. I get parents who tell me that, oh, these students, they say that we are going to study together, and both of them are not studying. They're doing nothing. They're just wasting time. So we have to ensure that the correct students are matched up. It's not and the correct student definition is not related to their being best friends or not being best friends. It is to check where is the ability of one, and that knowledge transfer is happening. And then it can be reversed. The roles can be reversed, because if one child, let's say, is excellent in mathematics and is able to bring the other child to a certain level, maybe the other child is very good in languages, and for the next session he can be the peer tutor.
Right.
Or somebody could be very good in sports, and he can teach the academically bright student all about sports. So, but this matching, this careful handling of students is very, very important. And if it is well structured, not too structured, but well structured, then it can really be liberating, because it emphasizes on ideating, on discussions, on dialogues. And that is what learning is all about and should always be all about. But definitely, I re-emphasize that the actual thrust of knowledge, the actual transfer of knowledge is, of course, classroom teaching and through the teacher. And this is one of the excellent pedagogies that can be used to develop a love for the subject, to develop so many other skills, whether it is leadership or it is communication or it is collaboration. That is but something that we really have to keep in mind, that it doesn't deviate from what it was meant to do.
Thank you so much, Shalini. And I think Shalini has raised a very pertinent point that, that here the critical role of the educator in mapping the right kinds of, pairs or groups where real kind of, peer learning happens, and lest the competition, the collaborative effort should not get into competition. So we need to, or rather competition should get into the collaborative mode. So the role of the teacher is very important. So do you think, I really want to, just have one more bite from you on this. That means that our teachers also need to be trained as to handle this, because this has been established as one of the most powerful pedagogical techniques. So
Absolutely, Devyani. Teachers need to be trained. See, as education is evolving, it's not even evolving. There is an explosion in the field of education. What we understood education to be and what education is today, it's all changed. And for all you know, whatever we are teaching today could be, you know, outdated by the time the students step out into the world. So educators need to be trained for the emerging pedagogies constantly. And peer teaching is something on which, yes, a lot of emphasis needs to be placed, a lot of training needs to be done for even
Yeah.
educators to know how to do it effectively and how to do it correctly. Because
Agree.
while it sounds very simplistic,
Mm.
that peer education, the child teaches another child, but it is actually not. There is a world of you know, complexities here. There is a lot of process here, a lot of thought has to go in, and definitely educators need to be trained for it so that they are able to use this methodology in the most effective manner possible.
Great, great. Thank you so much for such an insightful thought that, you know, it gives a lot of clarity to all our viewers that to understand peer learning is not just about one child teaching the other. Thank you so much. So the next question, I would like to address the next question to Sudhir. So Sudhir, for a child to be a good peer, to assess the learning of another, he or she should be willing because it involves, you know, that sharing. And in this competitive world where, you know, children are now the competition, we are only training our children as test takers rather than learners somewhere, as if other tests were less, that we also had a CUET. That's a different story, whether good or bad for what. But how can a teacher create that in an overly competitive environment? You know, groom the students to, I think this is just an extension of Shalini's viewpoint. If you could further elaborate on this. Number one, that how to prepare the child, and again, the element of the educator.
Yes, ma'am. So this is one of the most difficult part in this segment. Why? Because if you ask me if I am a topper or I'm a most, I mean, top guy in the class. So usually I think if somebody asks me, a teacher asks me, I will feel it's a waste of time. So why should I even help others? Because I am getting all the good marks and I have all the necessary skills. Why should I help? So here two things. As a teacher, first thing is creating a well-functioning group or a peer who can be interdependent on each other. So see, because either if you are teaching or learning, both things should happen when we are forming a group. And the problems that are given to students that are asked to be solved in this peer learning should be well thought of by the teacher. Simply putting, you can't just divide them into groups. Okay, you work together and you work cooperatively, won't work. Just being physically near to them, and that won't work at all. Teachers, what they need to do is they need to give a role play, what they need to do, and they need to create a reward system. Because what is the motive? What is the motive for me to do this today? Do this peer learning, what I am getting from it, what kind of reward they are getting to for doing this kind of peer learning, even helping others. Because if I know everything, if I'm helping other students, what I will be learning, what I'll be getting it for out from it, apart from the skill, because there should be a reward. And teaching them how to tutor a student is also main important thing of a teacher. Okay, so then only they'll understand. This all needs to be integrated in the curriculum. And explaining how to give the feedback, they can't straight away say no, you are wrong, or this is absolutely wrong, you can't talk like this. Helping them understand how to give a constructive feedback, like this might not be an appropriate way to represent it, there might be a more suitable way. Likewise, giving a constructive feedback, correcting them if they are on the wrong path, or asking an open-ended question or a closed question. So these kind of things. And a teacher also needs to fill in by filling the knowledge gaps that during those discussions students are having, and these people taking turns. There are a lot more things involved in this segment to make student more actively participating in this kind of activity, and also to motivate them. It should be a part of this curriculum. If you are giving this as an activity or an added activity to the student, they won't even take this seriously in schools. if it's part of the curriculum, every day there will be a peer learning class where each of you divided into groups. There will be a topic given. You need to work together. Come with the solution to us. We will be having a representation of your team. So each of you need to take the part. There is individual responsibility also and individual rewards also, even though you are divided into groups. So these kind of things should be integrated into the curriculum. Until unless it's not happening, a student who is a topper won't even show interest in helping others also. Because I came from a competitive background, I know for sure I will think it's a waste of time for me to participate in this kind of activity, because I know all the things. Why should I waste my time? With this time I can learn more things also with the resources that I have. So that's what my thought is. So until unless it's not integrated with the curriculum, there won't be proper outcome in this teaching methodology.
I think very well, very, very pertinent point that we all are very sold out to this term of peer learning. And sometimes, with when we have a paucity of time or certain topics, we just randomly give away as educators for the peer learning, but it has to be integrated. I think the curriculum needs to define that these are the areas where peer learning can happen. And this, thank you so much, Sudhir. I think it's like a suggestion that you've thrown out to the policymakers. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Moving on to Dr. Sagrika. We've been just discussing, and what we're discussing really is important for everyone to understand the nuances of the teaching peer learning. So is peer learning and learning by doing, experiential learning, are these the same sides of the coin, or do they achieve different purposes? Does the teacher take up peer learning because she needs to kind of brush away, okay, these are the 10 topics, out of this 6 I will cover by my own, and the rest of the 4 I'm going to, give up on peer learning so that my workload will shed. So what is your understanding, peer learning and experiential learning, or learning by doing, and the whole role of the educator, because that's very central to peer learning pedagogy?
Devyani, Dr. Sagrika has sent you a message. I think there's some problem. You need to unmute her. Just check.
Team Eridace, can you please unmute Dr. Sagrika? You've done it?
Yes, ma'am. Now she is the co-host. She can unmute herself. Ma'am, I request you to unmute yourself,
yeah.
please.
Yeah, sure. Some electricity problems, so as usual, yeah. Any which ways, yes. So your question of is peer learning the same as learning by doing, right? Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Am I audible?
Yes, Sagrika.
Okay. So, yes, learning by doing is one way. Learning by doing could also be a single person activity. Maybe it may not be, but
Sagrika, there is
learning
a
is also
problem.
learning by doing.
I think your, the voice is breaking. I think there is an internet issue. We can come back to you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll come back to you. Meanwhile, I would have my students, assist me with a bit of moderation. We could have Reed, do you have any question to any of the panelists, or anything that you want to understand about, teaching, peer learning, or any other question which you want to address regarding this particular issue to any of our panelists?
Yes, ma'am, I do have a question. Ma'am, sometimes teachers select a buddy or a peer with whom I am unable to build a connection. If I ask for a change, others may also request for a change as well. And teachers may discourage it. How do I learn that?
Yeah. Your question is to? Your question is to?
Ma'am, Miss Shanti, ma'am.
Shalini ma'am. Yes, Shalini ma'am.
Okay. So you're unable, if you are unable to build a connection, but then everybody starts requesting a change, then how do you, what do you do in such a situation? Well, my answer is on both sides. So first, it is that one of the greatest learnings from peer teaching is that we learn to build these rapport and these connections. I feel, I could be wrong. I mean, Pulkit and Reet may just disagree with me totally, but I feel that at times the students, the younger generation, are not, very quick in building rapport with everyone. So if they have connect with some of their friends, they retain that and they do not expand their circle. So the whole point of peer learning is that you learn to be with people that you thought you're not going to be very comfortable with, and then you see that that was, all in the mind, and you can actually be comfortable with them. And that, to my mind, is as important as learning any skill set, because that is actually a life skill. To reach out, see, it's I would put it like this, Reed, that it is very easy to be with people that we are, are comfortable with. In other words, you're in your comfort zone. But what we have to learn is that people that we have a perception that we don't like them so much, or we are a little uncomfortable with them, but still we make the effort to be with them, to interact with them, to learn from them, and to find our comfort zone with them. That is also very, very important. So I would suggest that yes, we should try to stretch our boundaries. However, in the rare instance where it can happen that it just doesn't work out even with the stretching of boundaries, then of course, even we as teachers should look at changing the buddy or changing the peer. But first, there has to be a very, very honest effort of, at least finding a middle ground and finding the ways where these partnerships can work.
See, I think Reet, I'll just give one suggestion to you. So I was also like
Thank you,
you,
sir.
where
Thank you.
I was also like you, where if somebody divided me into groups, I was the first person to complain that he's not working. I want to change the group. I'll give you one suggestion in life. If you're putting a company, just think about this scenario. Everybody you are going to hire is not going to be Elon Musk and Bill Gates. Is that right or not? But
Yes,
you
sir.
should be able to work with them, understand their learning capabilities, and help them learn your company's objectives and work together. Okay, not everybody you will be working together might be smart and topper and all. So you should be able to understand what their learning capability, what's their understanding. So based on that, you should work together with them. So consider this kind of peer learning will help you give that kind of platform. Okay.
Very well,
Thank you,
very well
sir.
said. And I would also like to add that, the whole idea when we talk about collaborating and co-creating, the emphasis is not so much on the best or the right kind of project you make, but it's also the emphasis on how comfortably you adapt, because 21st century skills, very important skills, are adopt and adapt. So how agile you are, what is your level of adaptability? Those are also those skills that companies across the globe are looking at. They may not be looking so much as your IQs. They are focusing more on your SQs, that is social adaptability skills. So always remember, Reed, that in case, a pair is created where you're not gelling so much or being comfortable with, the human resource management and managing to coexist and be agile and adapt is very, very important skill. Great. Thank you so much, Reet. You gave
Thank
me
you,
such
ma'am. Thank you, sir.
either. It's always good in this long session. Let's ask Pulkit as well. Yeah, Pulkit, why don't you also, if you have a question, why don't you
Yes,
address let's keep going this, taking the conversation forward. Yes, Pulkit.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Now, my question is to Sudhi, sir. So, like you said, toppers a lot of time like feel that they have kind of a superiority complex, that that person is inferior to me. He doesn't have as much as knowledge as me. And then if we would integrate this thing into the curriculum, then won't the those kind of children who think that no, it is just a waste of time, just do it for the sake of doing it and not practically deliver any knowledge or not practically serve the purpose by which peer learning is given. So shouldn't it be like a good idea to just do the let the teachers teach in one go? Because if such a thing happens, then at the end of the day, the child who is there, who is sitting to learn something, and the person who is teaching is the peer who is teaching is not with the mindset of teaching properly, but just for scoring marks or getting some internal numbers, he's doing that. Then won't the child waste his time and have to start from like uh, start all over again at the end of the day?
Yes, I think Pulkit, the whole running behind marks is going to stop in the coming days. Why? Because I know you all of you know that now your +2 scores are only for eligibility for all the competitive exams. So to reduce that only, they have introduced that policy. And the second thing is why integrating it in the curriculum is, in higher academics there is a project. Okay, there is a collaborative project you need to do in your final year of engineering, where it helps you understand what kind of problem you can solve using the academics which you have learned in the in this 3 years. Is there any such kind of project happening in school today? No, you are only just behind marks. So that's why I told, if we integrate this in schools, there is a peer learning group effort kind of project which is integrated in the curriculum for marks. Automatically both of you will put effort, and you'll be wondering, academically some of the students might be weaker, but when it comes to practical sense, a lot of them are actively participating in these activities, and some of them tends to be better than the toppers also. Okay, you never know, the people whom you're going to work with can be even whoever it is academically weak or strong, they might have good knowledge or out of the box thinking capabilities also. So to help you understand the scenario of this, that's why I suggested integrating it in the curriculum means then at least you'll have some seriousness. If a teacher is just giving it as a homework, you will just complete it in one day, you'll forget it. And you won't even give more emphasis to this learning or make your peer also to learn about the concepts that are there. Okay, you will just complete it by yourself also. You will submit it as if we both have done it. Okay, when it's there in the curriculum, it's a year-long thing, then automatically there will be a point where both of you need to be contribute to that thing. And when there is independent evaluation also in that thing, there will be more effort taken by both of you also. So that is what I suggested is, it should not be just a trivial thing where a teacher gives as an assignment. It should be integrated in a school activity where everybody will be more serious about it. Okay.
Great.
Thank you, sir.
I hope Pulkit, you're satisfied.
Absolutely. And I just want to, add something here. What Sudhir said is so pertinent that we have to make history projects in grade 12. And it was a group work which was being done. And exactly what you said, Sudhir, was the case once in my class. I did try to, pair up the students, and we had certain uh, academically bright students, and they said, no, we will make one group, and they thought they were going to do the best possible project. Absolutely. Well, it didn't work out that way, because the other group had one person not so academically bright, but a brilliant artist, somebody who had beautiful thoughts and conceptualization of the project. So it takes, you have to balance. So just somebody being academically bright is, I think it's already going out of the window, because now balance is the key. And nobody can say that just because my marks are good, therefore I'm doing great, or I'm in a somewhat superior position. It's just finishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very right. Absolutely.
Intelligent.
Moving on to Sagrika. Sagrika,
Yeah.
is your Can you
Yeah.
just speak something? Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Yes, yes. So I would like to ask you that you've been hearing all this discussion and about the adaptability part as well, and how educators need to understand how to pair up, like Shalini said, that she gave a live example of, and again with students also said that sometimes we feel uncomfortable and when we are paired. So it's all about adapting. It's all about understanding that all these experiences are leading them not to get the best of the marks, but preparing them to be the lifelong learners who can adapt to the 21st century, 21st century world. Now, there are various strategies to implement peer learning, like, collaborative projects, experiential learning approach, mentoring, and most uncommon one is cascading group method. So that's something I would like you to help us understand, that cascading group methodology for peer tutoring, especially, you would be educating so many educators who are hearing you today around this. What is this cascading group methodology?
Yeah, so this is actually one of the new names given, but it is just the same thing like the cascading effect which you have, that is one building on the other in experiential learning. So when it is peer learning, when many of them, they come together, everybody comes with different intelligences, as we just spoke about it. When everybody is blessed with, we talk about the multiple intelligence theory, Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. So everybody has some or the other intelligence. So when we all come together and when it is a group, like for example, PBL, your project-based learning. In your project-based learning, when the peers come together, the reason we have project-based learning is only to learn from your other peers, And when you learn from your other peers, it is, it is like there is a strategy called the think, pair, and share. So the think, pair, and share, everybody thinks about this. Say, suppose it's a project, an example, a PBL, a project-based learning method. In that, the question is being shared with everybody. Everybody thinks about their way of answering, handling that particular question, depending on their intelligence. And thereafter, after the thinking process, then they pair. What do they do? Like, for example, they take one student, they pair one student with another student, two of them, they pair, then those two students have a discussion. Okay. After having that discussion, with that knowledge, again, the student is paired with another student. So it's a cascading effect. And this way, if it is, say, suppose 6 of them in one group, it's rotational. It's rotational. Number 1 student will be first paired with number 2. Then number 1 will go to number 3. Number 1 will go to number 4. Number 1 will go to number 5. And this way, then again, 2 goes rotating. And that's the cascading effect. And the outcome of this peer learning cascading effect is immense. It's immense learning, because no two ideas are going to be the same. And obviously the output, the productivity is going to be absolutely maximum productivity in this cascading effect of peer learning technique. So that's why, I mean, it is more, it's more focused. It's more focused, and it's more consciously led. So when it is consciously led, there is less of distraction and more on the project itself. The discussions are more on the project, as a result of which there is no straying away. And because there's no straying away, with that focus, the productivity and the answer that you derive from that is what the outcome of this particular cascading peer learning technique.
All right. So maybe just if you could draw a mental map for the teacher. So what are those 3 steps that she needs to take to integrate this cascading technique in her pedagogy?
Yeah.
Very
so
good.
very yeah. So think, pair, and share. Just 3 things. Think, pair,
Yeah.
share. First, the learners think about the project given, then they are paired, and then they share with the pair. And this way it goes on with different, one with two, one with three, one with four, one with five, one with six. And then similarly, two with three, two with four, two with five, two with six. So this way, that whole cascading effect, that is how it is. So just three things is your think, pair, and share.
Thank you so much. Think, pair, and share. Cascading learning technique in enhancing peer learning methodology. I think this was the most beautifully presented by Dr. Sagrika. Now, let us chess the 21st century skills of our students. But before that, I would just like you, and I would hand over the stage for 5-7 minutes to Reet and Pulkit. So you be prepared. Whoever you become the moderators and whoever you want to, ask, and how you will be roping the discussion on. But before that, I would like Team EduDays to share a screen. We did a survey with the school, and they came up about the impact and effect of peer learning. And what the students had to say was that, and this was the live survey which happened in one of the schools, they said that it was so enriching, it helping others and finding new ways of explaining things helped me strengthen my own weaknesses. This was told by one of the students to us. The other was I worked with improved his academic results. We've taken it and pasted as it is. Started to have study habits, and it was good to me as it has helped me to improve my self-esteem. Very nice. So this was again a student. Any other feedback? Yeah. So we had another one. I got a clearer perception of what teamwork involves. These are all we are talking about. Live survey conducted in a school with students after they underwent a project-based learning. I had the chance to create bonds with children, and I loved it. I became more organized, and it was really nice to feel that an action can change someone's life, including mine. Thank you so much. Do we have any other?
No.
Okay. Thank you so much. You may stop sharing this thing. All right. So for the next 7-8 minutes, we have Reet and Pulkit as our moderators, and I would like them to, moderate the webinar. Yes, Pulkit and
Thank you,
Reet.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, so I would like, first of all, I would like to ask a question. Sudhir sir said that, toppers might sometimes feel a little superior hand, but sir, don't you think that it is very subjective because, not every person is the same. We don't know what some person thinks, and that not might be the same as what other person is thinking, right? So as far as I myself like to do peer learning a lot, and in my class 10th as well, I used to think that there is a group of students sitting in front of me and I am teaching them. So as far as I have experienced that thing, that experience has helped me to improve my knowledge rather than just wasting my time. So, sir, don't you think that if we are able to make this point clear to students that, teaching others won't waste your time, but it would rather benefit you, then won't the students be more alienated towards this method of learning and this method of teaching, sharing knowledge?
Yes, I think Pulkit, that's a good question. I'll tell it's more than helping others. The first trait as a student you need to have if you really want to learn through peer learning is have an empathy towards your peer who might be struggling with the learning. Okay, if you have this empathy, automatically you will do everything. Lot of students doesn't have that empathy usually. Okay, you might be having, that's good, but usually a lot of students doesn't have, because I came from a competitive world and I did most of my learning through peer learning only, not from my teachers. Even when I was in IIT also I did that. Okay, not from the professors, Most of my learning happened with my friends. Okay, and do not ignore students or your peers, what background or what marks and all. You should have your peers thinking about for a single objective to learn more about the topic. Okay, and you can't every time. I know a lot of people does this in school life. They will be sitting together in a same group from their 5th standard to 10th standard. If you are in that school, you won't even change your friends. The same group will be there for your whole 5th standard to 10th standard. Even when a group activity also comes, you don't want to leave that friend circle. You will be only choosing your group only in your friend circle, not others, because lot of people like to be in their comfort zone. Okay, the first and foremost thing you need to understand is have good empathy. Most of the learning today will happen if you are out of your comfort zone. Okay, so this is what you need to have. And why I am telling you this is why, because today, for example, what ma'am also told regarding cascading learning and all, I'll give a small example, real life example, how that is in place in real time. For example, take a rocket which is developed by SpaceX or an ISRO. The teams that are working, they will work on different parts of the robot, not on the whole part. Okay, later they will bring it together, they will assemble it, they will understand what methodology they used, how this machine should work according to their principle. Likewise, the whole rocket is assembled, even a robot or even a smartphone. Every innovation which we see today is happening through peer learning or this cascading learning and all. People work together in different teams. They come together, collaborate, share their ideas, then come up with a unique project, unique product. Okay, that's what is happening in today's life. So that's what you need to understand. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I also have a question. Sir, as I was a group of not that much overachievers, I was always the average guy, and my friends too.
On
Sir,
what basis you are saying you're an average
the
guy?
grades basis,
Okay,
sir, the
so
marks
don't do
basis.
that. Okay.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
thank you, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
Sir, so whenever we used to go to the overachievers or the toppers, we used to feel ashamed and a little bit embarrassed to ask them questions about the topics and the many things about the knowledge basis.
Yeah.
Sir, how can we overcome that, ma'am? Sir, like we are embarrassed to ask a question sometimes.
No, no, no. You should not feel at all embarrassed. Suppose if it's in a work environment, will you stop yourself doing that? See, if you are earning money for the job, if you don't know how to do your job, you won't ask your superior. So he might be of your same age. Today's workplace is completely different. Don't think
Hmm.
your superior is elder to you. He might be younger than you also. Okay. So
Okay, sir.
whenever we are having a doubt, never ever feel ashamed, even if it's a trivial question also. Okay. Even asking your teachers also, you should not stop yourself from asking that, because it will affect you whenever you are thinking about others laughing at you or making fun of you about the questions you are asking. Automatically you will stop yourself from doing lot of good things. Okay, people, all the people does mistake, all of them are not perfect. Everybody do lots of mistakes. Most of the learning will happen if you do more mistakes and you learn from it. Okay, learn as much as possible through whatever way is possible. Don't feel ashamed. If you are learning from internet, if you are learning from a peer, if you are learning from a teacher, or if you are getting advice from anybody, whatever way, you should have the good knowledge or good academic skills. That is your sole aim. Okay, don't feel ashamed at all. Okay,
Okay,
he
sir.
might be he might be topper now in your higher academics. Once you, I mean, in your schools, once you go to higher academics, you might be the topper. You never know. Okay, what kind of dedication levels you have, what kind of determination you have and all. So never underestimate. Not all the successful people today in the world are toppers. Okay, they are successful because they have some unique skill sets, which is not feeling shy. Whatever is in their mind, they will speak it out, they'll work for it.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah.
Sir, ma'am, I also have a question for Sangrika, ma'am. Ma'am, as she
Yeah.
explained about the cascading based learning, in peer learning, ma'am, shouldn't the person, ma'am, as you said, the first guy will go to the second guy and they'll form a group. Then the first will go to the third guy, ma'am. But if the first and second create a bond, that's very great, ma'am. Won't the first the guy be remorse a little bit about going to the third guy? It might create uncomfortable area and the environment may not be as cheerful and as better as the first guy was with the second guy.
Yeah, see, this is all about just sharing. It's just sharing. And as the other panelists also have been telling, you have been informing us, that is getting out of your comfort zone. So the fact that you're going to be in that space where you're going to be sharing, you need to change your mindset completely. It is not about becoming friendly or becoming, when we say peer learning could be from any peer, you know. So it's not, it could be a friend, or it may not be a friend, either or. So when you're getting into that kind of project, you need to get that mindset right. And I may be put in any random group, and I may have to be meeting any random people, any random person, but always remember that there is always something to learn from someone, because everyone is blessed with a different intelligence. So you never know what is the input you would get from another peer. So don't get stuck to just one peer. Don't get stuck. That's the beauty of this cascading effect. The whole beauty is that you are exposing yourself to sharing your idea with others. Collaborative effort. It's a very collaborative effort of moving with other people, and you are learning and they are learning together, and you never know what you are thinking, and with their thought process you can ideate, you can ideate, and thereafter the output could be something very different. 2 plus 2 may not be 4, 2 plus 2 may be something else, you never know. So be open, that is what is important. So your adapt, as it is rightly said by Divyani ma'am, that adaptability is very important. Your AQ, now we are all speaking about the AQ, that is the adaptability quotient. If you're very high on your AQ, which you can actually imbibe by good peer learning methods, with good AQ, you can really, you don't need a good IQ. With a good AQ, with a little bit of IQ also, you can still, be a superstar. You don't have to worry about, like you are worrying that, that you're not very good. Academics is not everything. It's not about IQ. It's about your SQ, your social quotient. It's also about your AQ and your, your other, there are so many other quotients. But then this is what, keep your mind open and just plunge into it and be open to more ideas and be open to even sharing your ideas.
Great.
Thank you, ma'am. And ma'am,
you have another question?
Ma'am, just a small question.
Right.
Ma'am, as big companies like Google, they hire people on the basis of their social construct, ma'am, as you said. So
Yes.
how, ma'am, a little bit small tips, how to increase the adaptability quotient and social quotient? I'm asking from Divyani, ma'am.
How to increase the adaptability and social? Yes.
Yes,
so
ma'am. How to be more social?
More social is, and more adaptable is, that you need to go beyond your marks, you need to go beyond your textbooks. And how do you do that when you're working? Do more of internships, engage in community projects, engage in activities which will help you interact and have a more greater exposure with different sets of human beings. As I told you, that it's today's biggest skill is conflict resolution, negotiation, adaptability. You need to be extremely agile, because the companies who are hiring you will actually, in their panel discussions and group discussion, will see how accommodative you are. So the best thing is, do a lot of, at your level, 11th, 12th, undergrad, do a lot of such internships, which exposes you to different situations and scenarios, right? And thank you so much. I think Pulkit and Reet, you were wonderful as moderators, and you did give me a lot of respite on this show. Thank you.
Thank you,
and as we come to the end, I would request each panelist now to give their one last resting statement. So I should have 3 and 2, 5 resting statements today from our esteemed panelists. We begin with Shalini ma'am. Yes, Shalini.
Great interaction, Divyani. And before I give any statement, I just want to, say I'm so proud of my students. And absolutely, absolutely. I'm so, so proud of both of
This
them.
was such an impromptu thing the first time, because I saw them, they came up with such good questions and they were like very inquisitive. And this was a very impromptu act of mine to let them, and they have proved themselves.
They proved
that
themselves. Absolutely, absolutely. So great, Reet and Pulkit. And all I just want
Thank
to,
you, ma'am.
say is that as we move forward into this era that we are in, marks competition is going to be a byword soon. Already it is happening. Collaboration is the key. And the more we hold hand with each other, we will realize that because I'm taking something from what Reed said, that, he said that he rated himself as more or less an average student, right? And the others were more bright. But what is average? What is average? It's all a matter of perspective. We rate today academics as, some kind of a dividing line. It's not. So what skill set one may have, the other may lack totally. So it's, success is not dependent on in any manner on any marks or any such kind. So collaboration, adaptability, that is the key. We need to embrace our strength. We need to stretch our boundaries. We need to accept the uncomfortable zones and revel in them, and just, embrace all the diversities and the differences, and we are good to go. We are set.
Thank you so much, Shalini. I think very well said, that shed off the diversities and liquidate all these boundaries that divide us. Thank you so much. So moving on to Sudhir, what would your resting statement for today's episode be?
Yes, yes, ma'am. I will give only one suggestion to students. You might be thinking, like a lot of people are thinking, I am not superior or I am superior to some of the students and all. I'll tell you the actual scenario in today's real world is people not invest on ideas. People invest on teams. Okay, the so-called the billion-dollar companies you see in this real world, like Facebook or Amazon, all these are built around teams, not on just one idea. Okay, so even if you have a good idea, you should require a team to work together. You should have a peer who can understand your ideology, who can work for it together. Then only a successful company will come. You can become a successful entrepreneur and all, because we see only the front end people like Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs. We think they built the company single-handedly. No, there is a core team behind it who developed it. So this peer learning will be helping you to understand and bring you to a different level to facilitate their ideas, learn from each other, collaborate, come up with new solutions. Okay, so develop this collective capability, which is going to be huge and more important in this 21st century. Without this, it's hard to survive in this corporate world today. If you are not collaborative enough, if you are not learning from others or asking doubts or clearing your doubts from others, you will be the person to struggle. Nobody will come and help you. Okay, start having this trait in you and start developing the skills from your school days. You have ample of time, so work together, so learn more, bring out more ideas, and achieve greater things in life. That's what my suggestion.
Great. Thank you so much, Sudhir. That was wonderful. Moving on to Sagrika. Yes, Sagrika.
Yeah, so Pulkit and Reed, both of them were really wonderful. One thing that I would want to tell both of them is, now you all are blessed with these mobile phones, but this mobile phone is also a bane. More than a boon, it's also a bane. It really stops you from communicating with others. So Reed and Pulkit, for some time, you must keep this mobile phone aside and take baby steps to achieve peer learning. Start meeting one person every day. Make it a habit. Every day you must meet one person and interact with one person, ask questions, learn from them, and also answer the questions that would really improve your social skills also. Read, you had this question that would also improve your social skills. At the same time, you will always be learning something new from someone else. So always find joy in meeting the unknown, and for some time keep that phone aside and start meeting the person who's beside you, sitting beside you, maybe traveling together, a peer who's traveling together, or maybe a peer who's, when you all walk into the washroom together, or when you come out of a place together, you can just find people are there everywhere. Just stop by and ask whatever you have and make friends. And the more, this way, the more you talk, more confidence you build. And as you build more confidence, more ideas you get. And then you're also learning from your peers. So this is what I would want to tell both of you. That is one takeaway. So take baby steps of moving towards the higher goal.
Great. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Dr.
ma'am.
Sadhvika. And yes, Pulkit, your last resting statement.
Yes, ma'am. In the end, I would like to say, I would like to echo what everyone said. Like Sudhir sir said that, people don't invest in ideas easily, they invest in teams. And, basically, we all know that the coming future is not just about knowledge and everything. The coming future is about skill set. Because right now, the education system, the whole thing is going through a revolution. So the skill set, one of the major ways, one of the very effective ways to increase your skill set is meeting new people, as Sagrika ma'am said, is distancing yourself from the phone, distancing yourself from the technology, the digital media, the digital fasting as we call it. So that is one very good way. And meeting more people, engaging with your peers, that will not only sharpen your skills but also would help you incorporate the good skills which they have in yourself. They would help them, they would help you. So in at the end of the day, the benefit of this whole thing is twofold.
Great. Very well said. Great, Pulkit. Yes, Reet, what is it that you would want to convey?
Ma'am, in the end, I would like to start by thanking you all. Thank you, ma'am, for being just a great host. Thank you, sir, for being such a great host. I would just like to sum up and just a short summary that we should step out of our boundary and step out of our comfort zone, and we should start investing in ourselves as well as investing in the people besides us. We should be more communicable, and we should be more, mm, how can I put it in words? Happy with everyone.
Excellent.
We should be adapted.
Hmm.
Reet,
Very
the
well.
the thing is, all of you are already a good pair learners, but you don't know why. Because, for example, I'll take, if you are playing a game, if you don't know how to play, automatically you'll go to somebody and ask how to play a game. Is it right or not? You'll feel shy in asking, no, right? You'll go, you'll ask them, get the details, how to play that game, how to
Yes,
master
sir.
that game. And
Yes, sir.
there are games where a collaborative effort is there. You does that. Okay,
Yes,
teams
sir.
are playing remotely. There is no divide like he's not with me physically also. You can work collaboratively virtually also. There is no divide also there. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, all our panelists. Thank you so much, Pulkit, and thank you so much, Reet. I will really take
Okay, ma'am.
your investment approach, that invest in yourself, invest in your peers, and invest in upgrading yourself. I reiterate what Reet said today. And Reet, you are definitely a cut above the rest. So do not think twice when you're thinking about academics. In the end, I would just like to say that learn with each other, learn from each other, and one learns from the other. Thank you so much, all our panelists, for sparing this time and enlightening all our viewers with your great insights. And please don't go away till you see our final closing AV. And to all our students, I would recommend do more and more internships. Can we have the AV from the EduDave's team? Thank you so much, Mr. Sudhir Katumala, Ms. Shalini Agarwal, and Dr. Sagrika Roy. Thank you so much, Reet and Pulkit, for being great co-host with me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure,
ma'am.
absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you, ma'am.
Thank you. Sudhir.
Thank you so much, Shalini and Sabrika and Sudhir.
Thank you,
Shalini,
ma'am.
all
Thank
our
you.
best wishes to you for your new journey and hoping to collaborate and co-create such meaningful learning spaces with you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here. It was our privilege. Thank you so much, Devyani, for organizing this. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of my students as well as me that we really enjoyed this and learned a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.